And as we are finally nearing the end of probably one of the busiest periods of the season, and Gregg Popovich can breathe a sigh of relief. And if he is to get any points today, it will be crucial. We will have updates from Chelsea and Cardiff as they come through. It should be a simple win for Chelsea considering Cardiff's season. So anything Manchester United can get here at this point will be absolutely vital as he will go into the international break. He'll obviously lose the Chelsea will still have the game in hand over Gregg Popovich's side. So it is one of those times where he will need to get every point he can get. But it has certainly been a busy point of the season. But Gregg Popovich continues to pile on the points and defy expectations. Joe Pereira stays in goal. Dalot is with Bailly, Lindelof and Borthwick Jackson for this final game before the international break, which Gregg Popovich desperately probably needs. Henwood and Sanchez in the midfield with Fred. Karen Ward, Danny Williams and Tahir Chong are up front. We are expecting maybe the returns of Fosu Mensah and Luke Shaw, probably within a couple of weeks or so. And of course what Gregg Popovich says anyway. Holt is in goal, or Kraft rather, for Watford. Navarro is with Calabze. Puro, I believe that is, with Manzana. Kapoor is with Chandler in the midfield. And Success is with Piera and Tom Cleverley making a return to Old Trafford. And it's Gray up front with Ben Foster only making the bench. But a lot of the Gregg Popovich is against a lot of the philosophies that Jose Mourinho probably inherited in his time as manager. None of those will prove to be true. I mean, Gregg Popovich, Cameron Ward has gone down there. And Manzano is going to be in trouble. Is he the last man? He's straight red for Manzana. And that makes Manchester United's job all the more easier. It's a crunchy tackle on Cameron Ward, to be fair. Oh my word. That is a horrible tackle on Cameron Ward. Let's hope he's okay. The youngster certainly has had a good time of it since he came through the United Academy. And that's been one thing Manchester United fans have been happy to see. The youth inclusion under Gregg Popovich, that Jose Mourinho really wasn't really a big fan of the young players, you could say. Alexis Sanchez is going to take this free kick. Over the wall, and a good save from Kraft in goal, to be fair. And it's going to be out for a corner. Well, it's a great save from the keeper. It's an absolutely stunning save from the keeper, to be fair. That is a great save. And Alexis Sanchez, it was going in, wasn't it? John with the corner. Here's Ward. And Watford really have got a target on Cameron Ward, haven't they? It's another sliding tackle that he avoids this time. Hello. That's Sanchez. Williams. Cameron Ward. Cameron Ward's gone down again. And, well, we hope he's okay. He's really got a target on his back. Gregg Popovich is absolutely livid on the touchline. Absolutely livid. He's really calling for Watford players to, and he's gone over to the Watford manager and said, "What are you doing? You're attacking my player." Gregg Popovich not happy. The officials seeming to let it go. They can understand Gregg's frustration on the touchline with the fact that the Watford players keep sliding into Cameron Ward, literally. And yeah, Popovich is having a word with his opposite number, probably to tell his players to calm down, because they've already had Mizana sent off. Well, there's been no word on the extension of the contract from Manchester United to Gregg Popovich, and it definitely seems they're not talking about it this season. They're going to sort it out towards the end of the next one, because that will be contract year for Gregg Popovich. Will he continue on? And put it away there. I think Aaron Hillman was kind of lurking on the edge of the box. Went to Sanchez in the end. And it's saved by the keeper. I don't think Sanchez... Did he get a foot on that? You've John with the resulting corner. And in by Victor Lindelof. And that caps off a great season for the young Swedish player. And Lindelof, well-deserved goal. He's had a great year, Victor Lindelof. And he's rewarded with a well-deserved goal. Tahir Chong with the corner. And it's the second match in a row that Manchester United would score from a corner. It's a thunderous header by Lindelof. He rose above the rest. And it's a great header by Lindelof. And the 25 here, that's poor. He just watches the ball go in the back of the net. That's quite comical. But whatever the case, Gregg Popovich will not care one bit. His team is ahead, and that's all that will matter. Victor Lindelof makes it United 1, Watford 0, as they continue to score goals without Marcus Rashford. Fred to Lindelof. To Dalot to him with pass from Manchester United. Danny Williams, here he comes. Goal. Typical Gregg Popovich move. Danny Williams makes it 2-0. And, well, they all go over to Gregg Popovich because of course they do. They absolutely love him in Old Trafford. Pass. Danny Williams with the touch. And he sprinted away. And he inevitably put the ball into the back of the net. And Manchester United, just a picture and squad of unity that Gregg Popovich has curated. The love they have for him is the love the Spurs had for him back in his NBA days. 7 goals for Danny Williams. Young striker, young player. Something that Gregg Popovich certainly loves to use. And United have benefited from it. United 2, Watford 0. It looks like being another stroll this afternoon.
The fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 3 minutes of added time.
You have to say that Manchester United just are not letting up in this title race. They had that 3-game slump around the time they were facing Juventus in the group stage of the Champions League. I think it was back in October. No such problems for Gregg Popovich now. He's got through that phase, and now it's the time where Manchester United hit the form button. Cameron Ward into Danny Williams, 3-0. It is too easy. An absolutely stunning cross from Ward. Finally, he gets a break. Look at the gap he finds there for Danny Williams. Absolutely what Danny Williams' game is. Beautiful timing of the run on the volley. And we have said so many times this season that Danny Williams probably to some degree has been in the shadow of Alex Hunter, but he's made his own headlines. And that is the 8th goal, I believe, for Danny this season. And that even might actually be more than Hunter overall. Another 3-0 scoreline for Manchester United at the end of the first half. It just doesn't get any easier than this. Gregg Popovich is making the Premier League look the easiest league to win, isn't he? Absolutely dominant. Williams 2, Lindelof 1, Manchester United 3, Watford 0. Defender heading away. Another absolutely scintillating first half coming into the 3-0 win for Manchester United. And you have to feel now that Gregg Popovich is just a small time away from that 21st title. We didn't really get any further updates from the game at Cardiff, but it was 1-1 last time we checked. Eden Hazard gave them an equaliser, but today, Danny Williams was the star of the show at Old Trafford with 2 goals, and a further one from Victor Lindelof in a great season for him, and a great season for Manchester United. It's another scintillating first half performance that means that Manchester United, for the second game in a row, win by 3-0. Let's take a look at the final scores for March and what that means for the Premier League table going into the last 2 months of the season. Arsenal winning today by 3-1, recovering them from their 3-0 loss at Manchester United, but conceding continues to be a bit of a problem for them. Brighton winning by 2-0 against Southampton, while Manchester United, of course, beating Watford by 3-0, as you've just seen. Everton beating West Ham by 1-0, rather trying to keep their grip on a top 4 spot, currently sitting in 3rd at the moment. Wolves losing, or beating Burnley rather, by 1-0. Cardiff City and Chelsea holding each other to that 1-1 draw in the end, which means that is quite helped Manchester United in their bid for a 21st title. Crystal Palace and Huddersfield Huddersfield beating Crystal Palace by 2-1, which there helps their bid towards safety. Manchester City beating Fulham by 1-0. Leicester City beating Bournemouth by 3-2. And finally Liverpool beating Tottenham by 2-1. That means for the Premier League table, Manchester United sitting pretty at the top by 5 points. And you have to feel maybe at this point it really is Gregg Popovich's title to lose, and you don't see him doing that anytime soon. He's 5 points clear of Chelsea and a further 5 clear of Everton and a further 2 ahead of Spurs. So 12 points covering the top 4 as games and points are running out towards the end of this season. Manchester City in 5th with Liverpool in 6th. It's a tight-knit battle for the top 4 because Liverpool and Arsenal are not far behind Spurs. Manchester City could even put themselves into the mix too. Maybe Wolves could spring a surprise. It seems unlikely, but they've had a stellar season anyway. Burnley in 9th and West Ham in 10th. It's Leicester City, Brighton, Southampton, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Huddersfield and Watford completing the safe zone. And with Watford losing today, Huddersfield were able to jump into 16th place with their win at Crystal Palace. In the relegation zone, it's Newcastle United, Fulham and Cardiff. Cardiff do get a point, but it really hasn't helped them in any kind of safety matter at the moment. They're 10 points behind Newcastle and a further 4 behind Watford, and they looked the first to go down. Newcastle United are just 4 behind Watford, and Fulham lost at City today, so that hampers them a bit. Maybe the relegation zone is looking all but confirmed, definitely for Cardiff City's case. But for everyone else, it's still pretty tight. But games, as we said, are running out. The title run-in has gathered pace as we are dropping into almost the final 5 games of the season. And it is fair to say that Manchester United fans really feel maybe their team has got one foot in the door when it comes to the title, but this matchup against Wolves is totally superfluous in the eyes of Manchester United fans and Coach Pop and his players. Their focus is the Champions League quarter-final 2 legs against Bayern Munich. Well, Manchester United, the best defensive team in the league, only by ahead of a goal, and that was after Manchester City's kind of stellar run at the beginning of the season. And as we have mentioned many times, how times have changed in Manchester. Now it's United at the top. Probably got one hand on the title already, but Wolves are no slouches. They have had a magnificent season. Patrico's in goal. Doherty, Sayers, Beckendorfer, Brody and Johnny in the defence. Young is in Coutinho, and up front it's Amada, Jimenez and Jota. And Wolves in the top 10 this season, don't forget. Manchester United makeshift squad. Joe Pereira gets another starting goal, continuing his great form. Darmian is with Tuanzebe, Smalling and Diego Dalot. Chong is with Herrera, Fred and Angel Gomez. Up top, Danny Williams plays behind Alex Hunter. And more positive news for Old Trafford faithful is that Timothy Fusimenta and Luke Shaw are very much steering their returns as well. And that is going to be the most positive news Popovich has probably heard all season. As we remember, Fusimenta was just on a tremendous run of form before he got injured, and the same could be said for Luke Shaw as well. Manchester United do obviously have a couple of buyback clauses in Daley Blind and Memphis Depay, and maybe Adnan Januzaj as well. Maybe there is some truth to the Ander Herrera rumours, because don't forget, Coach Popovich has a buyback clause in Daley Blind's contract at Ajax. So will he trigger that should Herrera move on? Oh, brilliant football, and there is a goal for Ander Herrera. Well, that's a surprise. We were just talking about it, and he goes ahead and scores. Could that be one of his last goals for the club? And the typical Gregg Popovich pass and move. Look at that movement and precision by Coach Popovich's team. They are tremendous to watch. One hand on the league title is the feeling. Maybe, just maybe, people are right. And Herrera linked it with PSG. And maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe Coach Popovich will have to trigger the buyback clause in Blind's contract. Obviously, he'll have to spend some money to get him back. But maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe Coach Popovich, he does have that in reserve should Herrera move on. But it seems to be almost nailed on that Herrera is going to PSG. I find that astounding. But Blind is a viable replacement. United have improved defensively. Conceding as many goals. Joel Pereira has had splendid performances that keep him as number one. Although for Bayern Munich, you have to feel that United will put David De Gea in goal. Joel Pereira makes his first save of the afternoon. He's done it again, Joel Pereira, hasn't he? Dallo tries to get in the way. Looks more like he's getting out of the way, and Joel Pereira had to get there. What a good save by the youngster. I think he's on a hat-trick of clean sheets in this one. Herrera brilliantly headed away, but Wolves keep it. Oh, Joel Pereira. Splendid save again. Looks unbeatable at the moment, Joel Pereira. This is a great shot. Darmian gets out of the way to get handball. That's a great reactionary save by Pereira. He probably saw it late. Joel Pereira is on it at the moment. Coutinho with the corner. Then by Doherty out for a goal kick. Advantage Wolves. The referee blows for half-time instead. Well, and there's been a commanding 1-0 lead for Manchester United. And Joel Pereira has been the start of a show once again. But it was Ander Herrera that got the goal. And rumours obviously abound of him signing for PSG at the end of the window. Or the beginning of the next one, you should say. But he's the man that's got his team ahead. Wolves 0, United 1. Wolves hanging in there. But Joel Pereira is on fire at the moment. Manchester United could confirm that matchup against Bayern Munich in the first leg of the Champions League quarter-finals in the rematch for the American Challenge Cup, in which Gregg lost on both counts. And Herrera with a shot. Israel. And in comes Costa. Oh, Joel Pereira again. How does he do it? That is an absolutely splendid save. Costa is wide open. He should be scoring. But Joel Pereira is magnificent. David De Gea has got to be wondering what his future entails. Sean gets in the way of it. Joel Pereira saves again. The heavy first touch, but he has kept it. Pulls in towards Hunter. Free header. Great save by Patrico. And there's Fred. And there's Chong. And they ran out of space. And again, United head away. Thanks to Diego Dallo.
Has indicated there will be a minimum of 3
What a ball by Gomez. Danny Williams has latched onto it. Oh, it's a brilliant goal. 2-0. To Manchester United. What a ball by Angel Gomez. Absolutely stunning ball. Paul Scholes-esque. Picked that one out. Danny Williams doing the rest. He and Alex Hunter are definitely the kind of replacements that Coach Popovich has needed since Marcus Rashford went down injured. What an absolute wonder pass from Angel Gomez. He made that one all his own. Danny Williams on 9 for the season in the league. Danny Williams and Alex Hunter have certainly made an immediate impact. Manchester United 2, Wolves 0. We're at the end of the 3 minutes. No more time. Manchester United win again. Despite the loss of Marcus Rashford, they continue to score goals. And Joel Pereira continues to perform at such a high level that has got to give it Coach Pop some headaches when it comes to his goalkeeping selection. Ander Herrera and Danny Williams with the goals. as the scoring route continues, and it's not been the routes we've been expecting, but with Marcus Rashford out for the rest of the season, who needs him? Wolves 2, United 0. They continue to score. Oh, Wolves 0, sorry. Manchester United 2. They continue to score. They continue to win. Up next is Bayern Munich. Okay, so let's take a look at the results for this afternoon's games and what that means for the league table. Not much change at the top as far as the first and second places are concerned. Let's round up the results first. Manchester City thumping Cardiff by 4-1 today. Pretty much almost certainly confirming relegation for them. We'll have a look in a moment. Newcastle United losing to Crystal Palace by 2-1. Southampton beating Liverpool by 2-1 as well. Bournemouth and Burnley, as we reported earlier, 2-2 draw. Watford and Fulham with a 1-1 draw. Manchester United beating Wolves in our coverage. Everton and Arsenal with a 1-1 draw. Spurs 3, Brighton 0. There's actually some scores later in the weekend. Chelsea beating West Ham by 2-1, which keeps them in touch. Huddersfield then lost to Wolves. And then that was the end of the games so far. That is obviously before the Champions League quarterfinals for United against Munich. In the table, it is still a 5-point lead that Manchester United hold over Chelsea. And it is pretty much going to come down to almost the final day, if not the week before it. Spurs ahead of Manchester City, who for the first time in quite some time have finally got into the back into the top 4 after their win at Cardiff today. They are finally back into the top 4 at Everton's expense. Those 3 teams, though, Spurs, City and Everton, are tied all on 61, and then there's a bit of a gap between Everton and Liverpool, who are tied with Arsenal in 6th and 7th. So Arsenal with an outside chance of getting into the top 4 actually. They're only 7 points back and there's still quite a few points to gain. Wolves, despite their loss against United, then recovered with their win at Huddersfield and they stay 8th as a result. Leicester in 9th and Burnley completing the top 10. West Ham in 11th, tied on points with them. Brighton in 12th and are pretty much safe. Southampton 13th, Palace 14th, Bournemouth 15th and Huddersfield in 16th, and their loss to Wolves will do them no favours in their fight to avoid the drop. Watford have dropped to 17th. They have slumped in recent weeks. Newcastle United, Fulham and Cardiff City in the relegation places. Now, 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15 points. Cardiff are more or less relegated. 15 points left to gain, and they are 15 behind Watford. So, barring an absolute miracle, if it hasn't happened already, Cardiff City are relegated down to Championship. There is an outside chance for Fulham to get back in, as is Newcastle United, but I believe with 15 points to gain and 15 points behind, pretty much condemns Cardiff to relegation. More on the base of they could win all their games and just about get out, but they would need Watford to lose all of them. So Cardiff City, to me, are more or less relegated, and it is between Fulham, Newcastle, Watford, and probably Huddersfield and maybe Bournemouth. I would say everyone from maybe Brighton down is still in the fight to avoid the drop here, because Brighton are there's still a bit to go there. So everyone from Brighton downwards is still there, and but I would say everyone from West Ham up is definitely safe, so that the top half of the table is pretty much safe now, and it is between all these clubs, apart from Cardiff, who, in my opinion, and based on recent form, they might be 15 points behind. That pretty much condemns them to the drop when you put on their recent form as well. So Cardiff City are relegated, and it's left for Fulham, Newcastle, Watford, Huddersfield, Bournemouth, Palace, and Southampton, and maybe Brighton to fight out for the last 2 relegation places.